Hi, this is Diane for Phil's Sewing Virtual Club. Today we're going to continue on our little tour of the Creative Icon 2 by Pfaff, okay? And today in a project we're going to be working on creating this cute little bag, okay? It's a cute little gift card holder. My niece is getting married in about a month or so, so I thought, well, I'll make her a cute little bag where she can hold her ID card or charge card, whatever it might be, you know, and put it in her little bag. And she'll have the blue, something blue with her as well on that day. Okay. So anyway, let's just get started on this project. I think this is one that you're going to love because everything is built right into the machine. Okay. So what I'm first going to do, I'm going to come into my my design area. Okay. Click on this little flower, which I'm going to call the daisy, and I'm going to show you again some of the different. Here's the Pfaff exclusives, flowers and leaves again. So and so forth. We've got holiday, and the design we're going to use today is under this and that. In here, you've got a little of this and a little of that, as shown here. You've got some little dolls, you've got a kitty cat, you've got an owl, and so forth. And as you go down, you can see some of the other fun designs that are in here. You got a nice assortment of this and that, and some of these designs are for cut work, some of these designs are for water-soluble stabilizer and so forth. And so it takes you through a whole gamut of different opportunities that you might find within this machine itself, okay? Now, I'm going to go back up here to design number 23. This design was a little intriguing when I first found it, and okay, my design is not there, so we'll go back in there again. This and that, hold it down, and then it pops up into your workspace. I released too soon, and so that's why it wasn't there. Okay, so now I know behind there is the last hoop that I utilized for a project. So first thing I need to do is to go into the hoop and find the desired hoop size. So in this situation, I'm going to do the 260 by 200 and say okay to it. Pops you back in there, and let's slide this design over. The design is selected when I brought it in, so that's allowing me the option of moving it around on the screen. Okay. One thing I did before I got to this mode is I knew that I was going to use that 260 by 200 hoop, so I have it all hooped up already. Okay, there it is, 260 by 200 hoop, and I used a water-soluble stabilizer for this particular project. Now, you're going to say, well, why did I use that? Well, when you page through, and I'm going to show this to you because I think it was kind of interesting and kind of a fun thing or way to discover what some of these designs are all about. For this particular design, it had several symbols that are utilized on the page itself, and so it's like, okay, I got inquisitive, what do they mean? Well, anytime you see something like this, it means it could be an applique design. When you see a little bowl of water, that means you're going to be using like a water-soluble stabilizer for that particular project, okay? So that's what that's all about. There was other areas too that I'm going to show you that will help identify some of these different areas in the manual with the designs. Here's another water soluble, so this particular one will use water soluble. It also has pictures of two needles right here. Those two needles are cut work needles, so that particular design, you'd be utilizing the cut work functionality. Same over here. Also tells you to clean the bobbin area. So if you have a question about some of the functionality with any particular design, go ahead and figure out what that symbol means. Here's another one. This particular one you would use like the border hoop for this one and so forth. Whenever you see that border, that little hoop there, that's for the border. Here again is water soluble. Okay. This particular area here, it's got another symbol that it's like, okay, what does that mean? Okay, in this area, this is indicating that this design is a design where you're going to cut away the bobbin thread on the back side, and you're going to end up with a fringe flower. So that was kind of interesting too. So I had to make that design, and you'll see that in a later project that I work on for you. Here's another one, that same symbol with that fringe flower. So those are all fun, okay? So to better identify some of these symbols, you can also look on the inside flap of the embroidery collection catalog, and you'll see what some of those symbols mean. Here's another symbol. It's the creative embellishment attachment. That particular one, those designs can only be utilized with that creative embellishment attachment attached to your machine. Okay. So anyway, but look through this guide, and I think it was very helpful, and it was great when I was creating some of these projects that you're getting to partake in here. Okay, so I have my design up on the workspace. I have my hoop all hooped up with my water-soluble dissolvable mesh stabilizer. Okay. I've also, on the back of my fabrics, I also fused on the back. It's like a tricot. It's a mesh type of a stabilizer. Right here's the mesh side. And then this is a silk fabric that I utilize because I'm making it for my niece for her wedding. And the fusible is called a sheer knit fusible, and it's SK135 for anybody who needs that particular, wants to utilize that particular interfacing. Okay, but it's a nice light fabric, and it works well with when you're using like a silky type of a fabric. Okay. So I'm not going to change anything on my design. I'm going to leave it the size it is because it works well for little credit cards or identification. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on Stitch Out down here on the bottom. Okay, and with this design, I do need a straight stitch needle plate, which is checked off for embroidery. I will also be using my dynamic spring foot, the 6D free motion. Okay, that's checked off. Okay, one other thing right here that I do need to check off, because I do want to embroider the design with one color. So I'm going to click and check, replace a check mark in one color. And let's see what else we got here. And of course we're going to make sure it cuts, so we're going to say OK to it. Okay. Attach the hoop. Slide it on so that it clicks. When it clicks, you know it's in position. Okay. Then we're going to do our stitch out progress, showing you the steps, okay, for the sew out. Now I'm going to thread my machine because I know I want it to be blue. Oops. Got a little snag here going, so make adjustments. Thread your machine. and thread your needle. Okay, we're all set and ready to go. I'm going to start the machine up because I'm not going to put the fabric on yet because it is an applique design. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first sew out, which is the applique positioning stitch. One thing I noticed is that my bobbin thread came out of there. I'm going to go ahead and cut this, and I'm going to check on my bobbin to make sure that it's coming and feeding properly, or that it's situated. Because sometimes when you're using it, it does pop out of its position. So put it back into position. When I put my bobbin in, I don't cut the thread right away. I do put the cover on the bobbin first, and then I pull the thread. That way it assures that that bobbin thread will stay there. I'm going to also do one more thing. I'm going to bring up that bobbin thread, okay? Just so that you know there's a long enough length of it. Now, slide my hoop back on. Clicked into position. Okay. I'm going to remove some of this thread that's stitched out. But what I'm going to do next is, because I want it to start at the beginning, okay? So to get it to start at the beginning, I'm going to click on the sequence view, okay? This is the color that's being embroidered at the present time. I want it to start at the very beginning. I'm going to click on it. Takes it back. If you notice, it removed any stitching marks, because when you have a white area going around your circle down here, that means that white is the progress of the sew out in that area. So I'm going to take it back to the beginning by clicking on it one more time, and it takes it back to the beginning. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and do the start. I'm going to leave the string attached there for a little bit to make sure that it is forming a really good stitch. And the reason it didn't feed very well is because of the stabilizer. It's a very lightweight stabilizer, so it might not have caught the bobbin thread those first few stitches that it had taken. And this is all good because this is not going to be shown anyway. Okay. And the machine stops. I'm going to just cut it there. Okay. At this point in time, I know where the sew line is, and so I have to make sure that I place my fabric over that line. Okay, so now I did that, and I'm going to take this back again to the beginning because it didn't stop like we asked it to stop at that point. Okay, this is how you make corrections. If certain things go wrong, you make those corrections, and just selecting it again takes it back to the very first stitch within that color. Go ahead, start it up. You want to make sure your fabric stays in place. is about when to add the applique fabric. It's always a good idea to refer back to the manual as well. So it's stitch the first color, I add the applique fabric. Okay, so now it's attaching with that stitch. Making sure that fabric is down, securing it. Notice how I put a little mark here? That's going to be the fold line. There's one on the opposite side as well. It also put a little tack line right up here at the very top. That's another fold line that you're going to be folding on after it's completed with embroidery. Now it's going to go ahead and embroider the areas of the design itself. One of the great things about some of these Pfaff designs, it's a self-contained project. So you don't need to go to another source to create this little bag. Everything is there within this design to create this cute little bag or card holder. So it's got all of these little designs at the top of the bag that it's going to embroider now. Okay. After it's done embroidering, then the machine will stop. And we'll add our applique fabric to the back side or the underneath of the hoop itself. So we'll let this do its thing, and when it's completed, we'll be right back then talking with you. Okay, the first part of the design has completed, and machine stopped. So now it's giving us the opportunity to add the back to the underneath of the hoop, the under of the hoop itself. Okay, so I'm going to slide this fabric with the with my interfacing or stabilizing material right here, facing up, and I'm going to slide that underneath until it's directly under that shape Okay, and I'm going to, I think I got it pretty well set, so I see my back, and I think, just want to make sure that it's not wrinkled under there, because I won't know that it happened till after it's all completed, so I want to make sure that the wrinkles, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it around, because I was concerned about this edge over here being caught under there, so I'm going to slide it the other direction. There, this makes more sense. Okay. So making sure that it's underneath there. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and start the machine. Doing another tack down stitch, and this stitch will hold that back of the bag in place. Oh, this is a good reminder. Bobbin thread is almost empty, so we're going to go ahead and say okay to that. I'm going to, should have cut my thread before I said okay, but we're going to remove the hoop. I'm going to cut the thread on the top here. Cut it back here as well. So now we're going to put a new bobbin on there. So, and that's all good because this is going to happen to you as well. Our bobbin is pretty well down to the nubbins. So we're going to set that aside and we're going to replace it with another. This is a pre-wound again. We're going to go ahead and put that in the bobbin case. Sometimes I take a few rotations of that bobbin thread off of there. Okay, and then close it up. Cut some of this off too. Don't need that long of a piece. It's already positioned then, so I'm going to go ahead, put my hoop back on, being careful that everything is positioned correctly. Hooks in place. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and start it up, and it's going to start where it left off. So it's going to stop shortly here. Okay, now at this point in time, I am going to remove the hoop. And I'm going to get a pair of applique scissors and trim away close to the stitching on the top. And then close to the stitching on the back side. After I get those 2 areas trimmed away. At this point, I would be very careful that you don't cut into your stitching. And I'm just trimming close to that stitch line. And work your way around. Trimming that away. In this area, it's a little bit more difficult because of the curved edges that we have. But you're going to continue removing. Without cutting into your stabilizer either, because the stabilizer is still needed. Okay, and let's got the top side done. There we go. Set that aside. Now you're going to proceed to the back side. Okay. I did find a pair of applique scissors, so here we go. Okay. Continuing to trim away this back side of the little bag, and I'm going to remove any additional threads, and I want to make sure as well that I get really close to that stitching because that edge might show. So I want to trim off any additional areas that I feel like I'm a little too thick on. So like right here, for instance. You don't want any of those little strings or threads to show up. Don't make it as pretty as we would hope for. Okay. Okay, I think I'm about ready to put this hoop back on the machine. Okay, so this is our front side. Make sure that you put it right side up, back onto the embroidery arm. Okay, clicked into place. I think we've got it. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to make all of the rest of the colors in this design the same color as the first. So, excuse me, I'm going to click on one color option right there so that all the other colors will continue to stitch out without the machine stopping. So I'm going to go ahead, made the change, start up the machine, and let it do its thing. And another indication that you're in one color mode is that your minutes remaining in the design is going to be a cumulative of all the other colors that are part of the design itself. So this particular one, I think it said, I can't even remember, but it was maybe 3 or 4 minutes, you know, but then it changed it over to 26 minutes, telling me that the one color is in effect. So anyway, we're going to let this continue with the embroidery, and I'll be back in a second after it's all complete. We're down to our last color for embroidery. It's just doing those center little points. Okay, say okay to it, and then you're free to remove the hoop from the machine. Got a string here that needs to be trimmed away. This is what our design looks like. Let's take a peek on the back side. We have a few strings as well, threads that need to be trimmed away. And these are just like jump stitches between areas. The cleaner you make them, the prettier your bag will look. Okay, another one. Okay. Okay, next thing, you could just take this and dip it into some water, or a little container of water, and it'll allow you to pull away all the stitches, but or the project from the stabilizer. But in this situation, I'm going to just kind of trim around it just so that you get a better idea, and we can show you how that looks then. Okay, so once you wash all that away, then what you're going to do with it, you're going to make your folds on your lines. Here's a little dash mark, and there's another one on the opposite side. You're going to fold it on those lines, and then for the top area, you're going to fold it down. Okay, and it's going to look, I'm going to trim some of this away just without getting really too close to the stitching. So that you have a better idea what this is going to look like. Whoop, sorry, dropped it. By dipping it into that water, it's going to just dissolve away that stabilizer, and all that will be left is your beautiful edges. Okay. Okay, good. Just set that down. Okay. And then you probably want to get out your iron and you indicate the marks are at that fold line. You can take your iron and give it a little press. There, and then you're going to fold over your top as well. And then, 1 second here. And then you're going to end up with a little card holder or ID holder bag for your bride. Okay, and then after you've folded it over, what you're going to do is you're going to stitch right on the top of that line along your edge with your satin stitches. Stitch on this side and then repeat for the other side as well. You can see it over here. And you're going to set up your machine for straight stitch sewing at that point. But that's how that bag is going to end up looking. And you can kind of envision. Okay, and then what I also did with it is I sewed a little snap to the top and the bottom there to hold it in place. Okay. So anyway, but that's the end of the project for today. Now, I just wanted to go over some of the things that we covered in this project. You know, used a built-in design, used water-soluble stabilizer, hooped it into the 260 by 200 hoop. Okay, applied our fabric to the hoop during that setting with the where it said to put the applique fabric onto the front. Okay, and you do your stitching to hold the fabric in place, and then after you've applied that and it stitches the first area of these candle wicking stitches, then you're going to apply your backing for the applique, which is the other section of your fabric that's fused with the stabilizer to it. You're going to apply that, and then you're going to stitch it all down. And then after you get that stitch around, then you're going to trim both the front section and the back section while, you know, with the hoop removed from the embroidery arm. Okay. And so then after you get all that done, and of course you're going to use, you know, some ginger or some kind of an applique scissor to trim away your applique areas in the hoop itself without de-hooping anything. Okay, so you're going to use these. And you also, you know, if you need a real good stabilizer, Larry and Annette at Phil's, they sell the OESD brand stabilizer, and they can help you with that stabilizer that you're needing for any one of your projects. Then I also, utilize the iron, the Panasonic iron, to iron things down to make sure that everything is in place, and so forth. And of course your thread, whatever brand of thread that you have, or if you need more thread, Larry and Annette can help you out with the threads as well. So anyway, I've really enjoyed showing you this project, and I just want to give you a little teaser of other projects that I'm working on, so that you'll continue to come back and gain more information using some of the techniques that the Icon 2 has with it. Okay, this is a little needle case that I created using some of the decorative stitches that are in the machine. Brought them in with the into the embroidery side, embroidered them out using the applique and also the sequence creator. So we'll get into more detail with that in the next few projects that we work on with you. And then I also created this little bag here, which is using the guideline marker, for positioning, and then using one of the sashiko stitches, or not the sashiko, but it's a built-in stitch that we customize so that we can do that sashiko style of stitching onto it. Okay, so those are some of the projects that are upcoming and so forth. So, and also here's that fringe flower I was telling you earlier about that I really think is beautiful. So anyway, make sure you go over and visit Larry and Phil. How about Larry and Annette at Phil's Sewing in Washington, Missouri. Until next time, thank you for tuning in.